What's up, everybody? We wanted to take a quick moment to remind each of you to please like, share, comment, subscribe to the podcast. Tommy,
Ring that bell.
ring the bell. It goes a long way to support the podcast. Besides that, Tommy and I offer online coaching. The links for that will be below. The link for my merch store will be below as well. And without further ado, we bring to you a Thinking Man's podcast. A Thinking Man's podcast. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Thinking Man's podcast. This is episode 21. And as always, I am joined by my good friend and co-host, Tommy Stiles. Tommy, what's shaking, my friend?
Another day in paradise. It's a little
Another
heat
day,
wave
another
there.
dollar. What are we talking? How hot?
I think like 109.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. It's been a little bit cooler here in Texas, but a lot of rain. I feel like I hadn't seen rain in the many months that I lived here, and then for the past 2 weeks, it's rained every day. So that's where we're at. So episode 21, we are going to be discussing one of my personal favorite topics, and that is leg training. So for all you gents and gals that need to bring up your lower half, look no further. Tommy, I usually start this off, kick it off to you. So why don't you get us rolling, and then we'll kind of see where the leg training episode takes us.
Yeah, so legs for me has evolved obviously with the knee injury. But it's actually for the better. I think I'm training my legs a lot more efficiently and smarter than I used to treat leg day like just a masochistic all out. I don't want to be able to walk for a week endeavor. I think I enjoyed that thought process. So it might not have been the best for bodybuilding, but it definitely was fun for me. So I guess I have a couple different, right now I do legs every 8 days with my split. So I actually lowered my frequency and I got a better response in my legs. And my knee tends to do better if I don't overload it twice a week. So, starting out for me will be some sort of leg curl, whether it's a standing leg curl, a seated leg curl, or a lying leg curl, some sort of leg curl variation to open up leg day. For one of my sessions, I have a couple different ones, but I'll talk through the volume one. And I usually do 3 sets there, a couple sets of like 10 to 12, and then a higher rep set for 15. And I treat that opening movement almost like a mountain dog pump approach. Like I just want to get as much blood in my hamstrings as possible. The rest intervals are very short between sets. I'm not trying to go for maybe max load that I could do. I just want to pump a bunch of blood into my legs to get ready for the next movement.
Yeah. And so you're gonna go through your workout, or we'll go one for one?
One for one. I'm curious.
Yeah, so I do same deal. I pretty much exclusively do legs once a week because everything else needs to come up so much. So I will I start with calves usually, and I like that because it kind of you can kind of get like a loaded stretch at the ankle, and then it kind of sets me up to have better mobility when I get to my quad work. But besides that, then I'll do some calves, but then my first real movement is always a hamstring curl. I pretty much, if I can, I stick with a seated curl more so than the lying. I just feel like my mechanics personally for me are better when I'm like locked into a seated curl, and I feel like my output is better because you feel like you're really jammed in there as opposed to kind of feeling a little loose on a lying. And this is going to be the theme for me for legs. It's lower volume than everything else. So I just do 2 working sets for every exercise that I'm going to do. So I'll warm up adequately, like, feel safe, get acclimated to the movement, feel a pump in the target muscle. And then I'm going to do 2 working sets that usually land, same working weight. So let's say the first one I fail somewhere around 12. The second one I'll probably fail somewhere around 10 or 8, let's say. So 2 working sets there. So what do you got next?
Yeah, so I do prefer the seated leg curl as well. The lying leg curl I've found if I turn my knees out to where my toes end up pointing at like 10 and 2, it
Yes. Yeah.
kind of becomes like an outer hamstring curl. And
Yeah.
the reps are only like halfway up. So I see a lot of people butcher the lying leg curl and turn it into almost like a humping motion.
A
But
glute hump. Yeah.
yeah. So I do prefer seated leg curl as well. Next up for me, it just depends on what day it is, but most likely I'm going to the leg press. And then with that one, again, this is different than how I used to do it, but currently it's, feeder sets, very mountain dog-esque of, 8 to 10 reps, just enough to feel the weight, but not decreasing my reps as I load more weight. And I'm doing that up to a set that would then be my challenge set. And with that, it's just max output. So usually going to fail me somewhere in the 15 to 20
Okay.
range.
And how are you judging that then? Because I've heard some guys will say like, I do warm up sets of 10 until I get to a weight where I struggle with 10. So is it a similar approach, but you're going to do warm up sets of 8 to 10, and then you're going to feel weight that you're going to struggle higher rep range then?
Yeah, it's very much like if that 10th was like hard and I'm like the next two would probably be slower rep speed, then I'm like, all right, I'm going to add weight, but this is my challenge set.
So when you let's say you're shooting a fail around 15, what rep for you, and this is probably going to be different for everybody and on different movements, but on that leg press set you're talking about, at what point do they start to slow if you're trying to fail at 15? Just to give people an idea, because like you, I'm sure I review hundreds of training videos a week, and the amount of times that I see, especially for legs, especially for big movements for legs like leg press or squats, hacks, whatever, so many times the first rep that slows down, that's when people rack it. And so I'm trying to give people an idea of how much work there is still yet to be done when you reach that point.
I'd probably say by 12 or maybe between 10 and 12. And then from there, it's like, you can push out 4 to 6 more. I mean,
agreed. Yeah.
I'm not shooting I'm like, if I can get it 20, that's cool. But, it's probably going to be somewhere like 17. And that set alone is like, all right, leg day has now started. Everything else is kind of like blood volume up to this point. And, I've been working through my intra and everything's just lining up to be a good day now once that challenge set. And that's it. There's no second set. There's no back down. It's, feet. And then again, I'm keeping the rest in. I used to take, and I do on like if I'm squatting or doing something heavier, I'll take 3, 4, 5 minutes. But on this, I'm like actually setting timers on my phone, 90 seconds. And then it takes me another 30 to 40 to like get in the machine, get my feet where I want them. And then it's like, all right, we're going.
Is all of this work leading up to your main set is part of the thinking, trying to get effective sets with less overall load for the knee?
Yeah, that's how it manifested. And now it's like, I have all the strength back that I had before. I don't tap into it as much because the ROI is just not there. So, and I find that like with my legs, for my situation in particular, because you've seen me, like I have really lean legs. So
yeah,
they fatigue probably quicker than someone who doesn't have as lean of legs. Like I've never been a marathon guy on leg day. Like I don't need much. So
yeah,
pushing that blood volume and getting those blistering pumps in my legs has actually been more beneficial for their growth, but also for their my continuing to rehab my knee. Like it just feels better on my joints.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I can do, for reference, like I could get up to 8 plates per side the old way and do it. This way, maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But just as effective, if not better, because the pumps are better.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've always been, I remember probably, I would say 10 years ago, I remember seeing in a magazine. This is how long ago this is.
A magazine?
Yeah, they used to make these magazines back in the day. Used to print them out and everything. But and Antoine Vaillant, they did like a spread on Antoine, and he had, fucking 34-inch quads even back then or whatever. And they were like, "So do you prefer heavy weights or high reps?" And he's like, "I do both."
Yeah.
um, and from that point forward, I was just it almost like it like unlocked the matrix for me. I was like, "You do both? Like, what do you mean?" And from that point forward, I did a lot of, relatively heavy for me sets that were in higher rep ranges, especially like for my main compound quad movements, leg press, hack squat, mostly the leg press, because you're stabilized, like you're locked into it. Um, and even as you fatigue, it's not like you have to stabilize for a squat. So you can, I think we've talked about it, like most ridiculous sets that we've ever done or whatever. There was a time where like a set of 50 was a pretty common thing on leg press for me. And with the heaviest weight that I could do 50 with, you know what I mean? I was doing probably half reps back then compared to what I do now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think all that makes sense. For me, it's a little bit longer. I have a little bit more foreplay in my leg day, so I'm gonna do calves, like I said. That's seated ham curl, and then I'm gonna do 2 sets of adductors as well. So just on my own physique, and I think a lot of physiques, because you look kind of silly doing that machine, or people make fun of the adductor machine or whatever. I feel like it's way overlooked. And then because the machine itself is overlooked, you see it underdeveloped in a lot of physiques. Um, but so I'll get on there and same deal, just warm up to whatever my working weight is, hit, a first working set that fails around 12 or 14. And then whatever the second one fails at, it's usually a couple reps less. But I like doing that. One, because obviously, like my physique, I need more adductor. I have good sweep to the quad, and I'm a taller guy, so being able to stand my feet wider and have them still touch, was the thinking there. Like I felt like that would be an advantage for me because I'd take up more space then on stage.
Mhm.
Um, so I'll do those. And yeah, I feel like part of the benefit too, obviously, like besides needing that part in my physique, but also it feels like it like opens everything up, like everything to the front half of my physique, everything, hip flexors, hips, everything, it opens them up under load for me. um you know Not to spoil it, because then the next movement that I'm going to go to then is a leg press. So it's like, I'm gonna get in a sled and bury this thing back at me. I want to have everything loose and warm. So it's like at this point, calves, hams, and adductors are all warm, and I feel like I'm doing a good job then at that point of just mitigating any type of injury risk.
Hmm. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time on the adductor machine. I like that.
Yeah,
Adductors, I mean, Dante's made a few posts like adductors change every shot on stage,
every shot. Yeah,
every
and
pose.
your front shots, especially your
Yeah.
front and back shots, of course, like because they're right there. But man, like I've seen so many people just completely change their front shots with thick adductors, like adductors that touch with your feet, with your legs, substantially apart. So
Well,
yeah,
and
it's one
think
of those
about it.
things.
I mean, think
It's
about the
one of those things.
illusion.
Yeah.
You're gonna shrink your waist if you can
Yes.
keep your feet further apart. That
Right.
creates more of an X frame, which gives the
Yeah.
illusion of a smaller waist. And I don't have a naturally small waist, so building bigger legs, building a bigger, wider base up top and down below is going to be the game for me. So, and a lot of people.
And I'll just say too that one thing, it's one of those things too that I've kind of universally, you get different people when you coach. You have people that need to bring up their arms or their back or their legs or whatever. There isn't many other movements or body parts that I have seen that just universally respond the way that adductors do. Like if I see somebody, let's say, has good quad sweep, but they're really lacking adductors, it feels like it's without fail that I'm just going to program adductors as a priority, like probably multiple leg workouts, probably adductors at the beginning of both of them in varying rep ranges. I'm yet to see someone that hasn't drastically improved their adductors just by adding that machine in. That's why I feel like it's so overlooked, because it's like if you were doing these, I would see it in your physique. So I think a lot of people just overlook it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next up for me would be, so I don't have good glutes. I don't, even with all the squatting and leg pressing, like I don't, some people get good glute development just from doing those. I actually have to dedicate training to glutes. So, I will use a glute kickback machine, puts me in a real fixed position to really isolate glutes, or I'll do walking lunges. I alternate.
Mm.
Um,
And Tommy, for the listeners, what's so like? Let's say you program like you have walking lunges programmed, and they're for glutes. I'm sure you have other programs or clients where it's like this walking lunge is meant for quads. What's the difference? How would you set up the two?
so the way I'm doing it is short strides. You're still getting some quad, but I guess since it's a walking lunge and that you're not displacing as much weight on that front foot, I don't think it's as quad dominant.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
and then that I almost, I wouldn't want to do this in a squat, but I'm actually getting some valgus with my knee. So it's actually going inward versus letting it travel outward and maybe bringing the adductors into it. And then I see a lot of people fuck up lunges. Like you want to lunge forward into the next stride, not completely stand up and then go. Like
Interesting.
when I walk, it's almost like I never come all the way up. I'm just going right into the next lunge. So, 12 to 15 strides per leg it's very much cardiovascular too.
Yeah.
And there was I couldn't do walking lunges with my knee the way it was before PRP. So the fact that I can even do them is like progress. But
Definitely.
by this point, like, I've hammered leg press. And then, if it's straight glute work on the kickback or walking lunges, like it's, I'll do 3 sets. Again, I'm keeping the pace up. And my pump is fully expanded by this point.
Yeah.
So that's my thought process. And then it's kind of to take off the amount of weight I'll need for the next movement, which is like a machine squat variation.
Okay. Yeah. Similar structure. So yeah. So I'll go calves, hamstring curls, adductors, and then now I'm going to get into kind of my meat and potatoes work. So the next movement is typically I'll do a leg press first, like I talked about. It's stable, and I've done the work to kind of open up my hips and get everything prepared for it. So I feel like output can be pretty high. So same deal here. I'm shooting for 2 working sets. That first working set is going to be typically a little bit higher rep range. Like I'm probably not looking to increase the weight week over week until I get to a 20 with the first working set. But like if I hit 17 and then 15 or something, it's like I'm coming back to the same weight the next week and trying to get 18 and 16. So that's kind of all the same stuff we were talking about earlier. Like just, relatively or appropriately heavy load, but for higher reps on these like leg compounds. I'll just say this, like outside of the X's and O's of programming, like we're talking about right now, I think leg training and developing impressive legs more than any other body part just comes down to how much pain you're willing to endure while you're training. I think it seems like without fail, the people that have the most impressive legs, especially when we're talking about getting on stage, are the people that just approach leg day. Like you said earlier, like you're going to crawl out of the gym and I'm not leaving until that's what the result is. So, we can program and you can write up a beautiful little program on a spreadsheet or, in an email or whatever the case is. And we've kind of run through all the different body parts and days of the week of training. But it's really difficult to convey or teach somebody. So I'm just doing my best to say this now. Especially if you're someone that needs to improve your legs to improve the total look, or let's say like, I think both of us are helping girls that are in wellness. like you need to gear up for leg day and become a different person in the gym when you step foot in the gym for legs that day.
Mhm.
It should be like you're channeling your inner superhero avatar. That's what turns on when you step foot in the gym for legs every day. And that was uh luckily, like I had good people in my corner early on, and that was just kind of instilled in me, like almost intuitively, but also from being around people like this. Um, so it's just, because I just see it all the time. And, we do Q&As, we do all this stuff, and people are like, I can't grow my legs. And it's like, man, I promise 95% of the people that say that are not doing a full range of motion, and they're just not training near failure. They're just not challenging themselves. They're not willing to say, here's where the pain begins in this set, and I'm going to fucking lean into it with everything that I have, and I'm going to give
Yeah.
another six. There's just a lack of that. So it's difficult to convey over a podcast, but felt like I wouldn't, I would be doing everybody a disservice that's listening if I didn't say that.
I mean, it's 1,000% truth. I mean, for that leg press challenge that like I train alone for the most part, my gauge for that last rep is like I actually don't know if I'm going to be able to get the pins and rack it by my like it's that
Yeah.
close. It's like a fucking get it just high enough, spin them, and then drop my legs because I'm like that fucked.
Yeah.
That's how close you need to push things to like, this is either going to crush me or I'm going to get this rep. Like there's no in between. So I
Hell
mean,
yeah. I'm
obviously
getting excited thinking about it right now.
ask for a spot, like look around the gym and just
Yeah,
tell
for
someone
sure.
like, hey, just that's usually if I ever recruited a spotter that I don't know and doesn't know how to spot me, I only say one, I say don't touch it unless I look like I'm gonna die. That's it. That's my only advice. Like, I don't need you with me the whole time. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
last rep, or just be the like on that Cybex, the one we have anyway, that Cybex leg press. It's hard to get underneath and rack
It
that
is.
bitch.
It is.
So
It's a
it's
little
almost like
sketchy. It's
I
honestly
want
a
my
little
spotter
sketchy.
just to be the one that does
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So what do you got next? So you mentioned so you're gonna go from that leg press, and then you're going glutes, direct glute work, and then back to machine squat,
Yeah, so I have a
hack or
lot of
something.
toys, a lot of
Yeah, you
toys at
do.
my gym. Obviously the pendulum. I haven't been big on hack squats since PRP. I think hacks was kind of like what was giving me the most flare ups with my knee
Hmm.
before anyway. So
And
I
which
had
brand is that you were using? Which hack?
Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
Not that it's I just the
No, just
move
curious. Not knocking it. It's a good piece.
the movement is I don't know, it's just never it works, but it's also like, man, it's just beat me up too.
Yeah.
Um, so I love the
Well,
pendulum.
those are also going to be loaded like a more the closer to upright that you get, like that Arsenal is like pretty steep.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the foot plate adjusts, so I don't
yeah,
know. I kept it on the lower side versus
yeah.
like I think
But compared to a pendulum, when you're at the very bottom of a pendulum, you're almost like your torso or your upper back is almost like parallel to the ground. Like
yeah,
you get into this kind of swinging where like here you're upright and you unrack it, and then you come down and it's like you're almost parallel to the floor. And then that Cybex is similar. So it's like it. I'm just talking through this, but it makes sense that the hack was bothering your knee because that's going to be something that's going to be a movement that is loaded predominantly in the lengthened. So at the very bottom, that's where the majority of the load is. Whereas that Cybex that we both have and the pendulum that we both have, you're loaded more in the mid range where it lets off at the very bottom. Like the load lets off to where at the fully lengthened, it almost deloads. And then it allows you to fight up out of the hole, and then the load kind of hits you in the mid range. So makes sense.
right. Yeah, so I'm either doing, and then we just got a Rogers Squat Pro,
Ooh,
uh, which is going to be
okay.
more posterior valued than quads, in my opinion. But
Agreed. The
I
way
need
that it's
posterior,
designed, you're
so
better off. You're gonna develop your glutes and probably your hams and your lower back more than your quads with the way that is set up. We have there's a gym back in Jersey that I go to that has one, and honestly, it's I don't love it for quads, but you're right. If you're programming it for something else, it serves a purpose.
Yeah, I think if you need posterior, like for me, I would opt for that over like a barbell squat all
Agreed.
day.
Yeah.
So with my size and leverages, um, so
And you
I'll
just mentioned needing glutes, so it's like, okay, that probably makes
yeah,
sense for you then.
it's useful. And that I'd take that over a power like a V squat,
Agreed.
personally.
Yeah.
So I have those three options. Mostly I just do pendulum, but
Yeah.
I recently played around with the hack, and I carry in at my other gym. And if
Okay.
I take a wider stance and turn my feet out, I still can get good enough knee flexion, but it's not like before where I was like, I think I was obsessing on knee flexion too much to the point of like the femur can all like, there's just so only so far you can go down. Like I'm not the
Yeah.
knee over toe guy. Like
Right.
I've
Yeah. I mean, you're
improved my
6 feet. I mean, you're 6 feet tall and 250 pounds. Like it's a
I've
different
improved
thing.
my mobility
Yeah.
tenfold, but at the same time, it's like, he's not doing these movements with six
Eight
plates
plates. Yeah.
aside on his back. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
what's the ROI on getting that much knee flexion? Are my quads going to benefit that much more? Probably not. So and then like you said, adductors change every shot. I'm a taller dude. I need adductors. So I've, I don't do anything stance wise where my knees are inside my hips anymore. Like I'm wide
Mm.
stanced on everything.
Yeah.
Um, you know, if you're classic, be careful with that. The adductors don't get rewarded as much as like open. And it can kind of take away from your shape. But I think if you're open bodybuilding, squat with a wider stance, especially tall guys. That's like, I think I know you and I heard the same thing coming up. If you close stance squat or leg press, you'll build
Those
your
outer
sweeps, right?
sweeps. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were all trying to do the Tom Platt shit, and it just probably started my knee pain initially. But
Yeah.
um, so I'll do, and because I've already done, this is my fourth exercise. I've already done so much. Like I don't
Right.
need to. My low, I'm not that strong at this point. So
Right.
you know, I look for 3 sets here, three
Mm.
sets of like higher reps. So 10 to 15. It's kind of a wider range, but that's one that like you mentioned earlier, like unless I max repped out all 3 sets, I won't add weight. That's just I'm gonna
Right.
keep getting better each week just from the exposure. The biggest thing for training legs for me coming out of PRP was like I need to be able to train hard every single session. I can't be like, well, I went hard, on the first session of the month, and now I'm fucked for the next three, and hopefully by the fifth
Right.
session from now I'll be good again. And so it was just about creating progressive overload that way. Um, and that's been I'm not as inflamed in my legs, and that's allowing them to grow and be fully blood volumized during the training. So it's a lot different of approach than I do with any of my other body parts, but it's just what I've had to adapt to.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. There's so many um, different tactics or techniques that seem to work for different. Like I don't know that I've ever met anyone that just said, yeah, I just train the same way for all my body parts and they all grow the same. You're gonna find along your journey that um, you need to train maybe your back differently than you train your legs, differently than you train your arms. So I think that's a good note to make to people. Um, so yeah, so same deal. I'll go from that leg press over to either a hack or a pendulum, depending on what I have and just what's programmed. They present pretty similar challenges. Um, and it just depends on what your gym has and what you're trying to do. So I'll do 2 sets there as well. Same deal, like first one I'm shooting for like 14 or 15, and then second set will be the same weight and just however many I get before I fail. Um, and then that wraps it up for me for quads. So my whole week is just 4 sets of quads, and they'll still grow. It's just I don't know if it's like a genetics or if it's like an execution intensity thing. Like I'm sure I've talked about it on this, but it's difficult for me at least to generate the same type of intensity and like neural connection with the muscle with any other body part than it is for legs. Like I honestly, I could probably go in and do a set of extensions and one set of leg press, and that would probably be like maintenance volume for me. And I would get off of those two sets, my legs would be blown out, pumped. Um, so that's all for me. Just the 4 sets of direct quad work. Um, and then are you done at that point? That's a lot.
No, I got one more, like a little circuit I do at the
Okay.
end. So it's whatever leg curl I started with. Um,
The
if it was
opposite you'll
lying, I
finish
do
with.
lying. No, I do the same one, but
Oh,
it'll be
interesting.
much less weight. So it's like one round, something I can do for 15 reps at this point. So I don't need a lot of weight. And then from there, go to like a stiff leg barbell. Again, I don't
Mm,
need much. So for
right.
me, I can do 500 for reps. So at this point, I'm
Yeah.
only going to do like 225.
Mm,
Um, and the goal is like they're 3/4 reps. I'm not coming up all the way, and I'm keeping the
mm,
bar, further away from my legs than I would if I was doing my power movement with stiffs. So a lot
mm.
of tension on the hamstrings, keeping it off the lower back.
Yeah.
And then from there, I will do we have a belt squat. So we have a pit shark. Both
Mm,
my gyms do actually. So I'm not a huge fan of using that as like a main, but the way I use it is like, going from that stiff leg movement to I do really, really wide stance. So probably the closest I'll ever get to sumo, feet are turned out. And the goal is to load the posterior. Like I just want to let the weight pull me straight down into the hole until I get to the point of butt wink, and then I stand back up. And I'm really
mm.
trying to squeeze the glutes and adduct everything hard coming up. Um, and that, I'll just do that for max reps at that point. So it's just kind of like, that's not something I would do in a prep setting, but when you're in
Right.
a big surplus, I think you can handle, supersets and circuits and trisets. And it's only going to help your cardiovascular, because a lot of people get on leg day, especially, they get hammered by their endurance failing.
Mm,
Um, a 20 rep set, sometimes it's not the legs that fail, it's the lungs. And if that's the case with you, then that tells me that there's program flaws and you need to be doing cardio. And I have some guys that are like, they're ectomorphs, they're smaller, and they're like, why do I have cardio in my plan? I'm like, it's not to burn calories. You're eating enough food. Trust
right.
me. I need to get your heart rate up so you can have the wind to do these sets.
Yeah.
You don't want your wind to be your limiting factor on training. And I experienced that coming up, because like the very, very first episode, I talked about cardio being important. I didn't
Yeah.
do cardio because I thought I need every fucking calorie possible, but I took away from performance. So, there's some benefit to doing like, 20 hard minutes on the bike or the stairs or whatever the case is a few times a week. You're not gonna lose weight or be too smart. Trust me, it's
Yeah. You're not losing muscle.
you burning a couple hundred calories. It's really not that much.
Yeah, and it's worth it then to take your training to a new level as far as like the rep ranges and the challenges that you can present yourself. Um, yeah, so it's funny you mentioned the pitch arc. So that's what I've been going with lately. I'll finish, and that's just like one whole leg day that totals up everything. So I hit the hamstring curls 2 sets early on, 2 sets of adductors, 4 sets of quads, and then I'll come back and do 2 sets of a hinge. So lately it's been a pitch shark RDL, um, where I'm really like holding on to the handle of the pitch shark and pushing my hips way, way far back. So doing this and then also keeping a pretty close stance is going to bias a lot of glute. So that's kind of what I'm going for
Mm-hmm.
as another variation or just hip hinge that I use in that same place sometimes will be like a glute bridge. The gym over here has a Nautilus glute drive, which is like excellent. So I'll use that every now and again as well, which is just more posterior chain. So that pretty much wraps up my leg day. Intentionally pretty moderate to low volume, and that's just with the way that I connect with my legs. That's what I found works.
Yeah, that's it for me. And then every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll go by feel on this one, but I'll have a leg day that's more of a lower volume, high weight, like I do
Mm.
Smith squat. Or so my power squatting movements are Smith squats and safety bar squats. So
Mm.
I don't like a barbell, but the safety bar allows me to
I
stay
love a
more
safety
upright
bar. Yeah.
and really bury the reps without my low back taking over.
Yeah.
So
Now, are
um,
you doing those like heel elevated or um, squat
I
shoes
wear
or anything?
lifters. I wear the
Oh,
lifter
right on.
shoes. So
Right on.
wearing those and elevating the heels is actually too much
Too
stress
much.
on my knee.
Yeah.
So I experimented with that, but I can get enough knee flexion. And that's what I said. I think there's like a point of diminishing return to getting too much knee flexion for some people. Like I have really long legs. So
You do. You have long femurs.
it becomes a leverage thing. Like it's just not,
Yeah.
my femur wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so which is why traditional barbell squatting was never really something I could connect with. I never learned how to squat properly, and that probably could have changed the game for me. But also, like, I never was going to be for bodybuilding purposes, barbell squatting was never going to be the best move for me. Powerlifting, completely different, whatever. But, um, and that's a good point to bring up. Like, you didn't hear Joe and I mention barbell squatting. It's not because we're against it. We just realize it doesn't benefit us at this point. I know you spent years in the rack.
Yeah.
Um, I spent years trying to get good at squatting, and it was just like anything above 315 was just futile. So,
Yeah.
um, working with your coach and learning movements that are best for you. And I say that with an asterisk because it's like, I don't, I've never wanted to get out of anything that's hard on leg days. I love the mental challenge of leg days.
Yeah.
Um, so there's this, wanting to not do something just because it's hard and it requires a lot of exertion. That doesn't mean you don't need that movement. I'm talking like leverages, limb lengths, setup of a
Structure.
person. Yeah, there's structural limitations in every body, and there's individual variants.
Yeah.
I have some guys who, we can give Christian Coronado a shout out. He could use barbell squats exclusively and have great legs because he can stay. He's like Tom Platz with how upright he can stay.
Crazy fucking legs. If
So
Christian
if you
hears this,
if you can
don't
squat
don't
like
get it
that,
twisted. Not just great quads. Silly fucking crazy quads.
exactly. But if you can squat in a way that your quads grow, don't get away from it just because this podcast,
Right.
like we're giving you what we do. It's not meant to convert you.
Right.
There are a lot of people who aren't going to grow their quads with barbell squats. But if you're one that's not, you don't change your course. You're on the right
Agreed.
path. That's where like a lot of the these biomechanics Instagram pages are kind of misleading younger people in a way because it's like they get in their head that like they shouldn't do barbell squats or they shouldn't do this or they should do that. I'm like,
Right.
that's not even the message they're trying to deliver. Sometimes they're just trying to grow an Instagram account. So there's engagement is higher when there's arguing.
Yeah.
So, as a younger person, it's important to work with a coach who's going to help build a training plan that's best for you. And that's why, I know you're the same. You ask for videos, I ask for videos. I know it's annoying to film yourself in the gym. We were just talking about this before we recorded. Like, there's a lot of times I don't want to do it, but I would have never learned the things I've learned about my physique if I didn't start doing that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of clients who I have seen the progression in their training simply because they've given me videos week after week after week. At a certain
Oh
point,
yeah.
yeah, I don't need to keep seeing. I might even tell you like,
Sure.
hey, you've
You
kind of
graduated.
graduated.
I say
Yeah,
that. You graduated.
yeah.
You don't need to send
But
them anymore.
in the beginning, it's like I know it's annoying. I know it's hard in busy
Yeah.
gyms. I know there's a stigma around filming in the gym, and people might
Sure.
look at you weird. And it's like, how good do you want to be? So,
And there's no doubt, sorry to cut you off, but there's a
very
direct
good.
correlation between the people that have been really committed to sending video, just in my experience coaching, the people that have gotten the best results with their physique, those results happened because it was driven by training. Their training improved to a level that they could warrant improvements in their physique because they sent videos and took the coaching. You have to be coachable.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people don't send videos off because they're like, oh no, I know how to train. I got it. And then
That's the ego.
without fail, every time those people send a video off, there's 3 or 4 things that could improve. So, and that's the case with me, man. I film my own stuff and I'm a coach and, I'm well versed in biomechanics and all these things. Um, good knowledge, good education base, especially coming up under John. Even so, I'll film something and I still send videos off to John to be like, hey man, I don't know if I felt a little unsure about this. What do you think? And he's like, you got to do this, you got to change this, we got to improve this. So it's like it's a never ending, even to the point of some people like graduating and not needing to send videos anymore. I have undoubtedly said that to people, but I think it should also kind of circle around and be seasonal because we're human. I think we lose track of how things should look or how things should feel or be done, and um, it's an ongoing, living, breathing thing. Like your training you should always be taking a hard look at your training, saying, am I getting the most out of what I'm doing in the gym? Because that's the match that starts and lights everything that we're trying to do in physique sports. It all starts with the training. So,
Yeah,
that was just
effort.
a rant, and I don't remember what you were saying. So sorry about that.
No, you're good. That's a good segment because effort's king. I mean,
Yeah,
you could have the greatest biomechanics and know all this shit, and it's like if you're not willing to give the effort necessary to create stimulus to grow, that's great. You have just a lot of knowledge that's not going to make you a better physique
right.
athlete. Um,
I think a big problem, like with this divide between people that are, in layman's terms, it seems like there's a big divide in bodybuilding between like the science guys and like just like the bro guys or the meathead guys or whatever. And I think a big problem coming like early on, at least with the knowledge that we have in exercise science and bodybuilding, nutrition, all these things, is that most of the guys presenting the information don't look like they work out. So you have this group of 250-pound enhanced bodybuilders that see, Joe Schmo, 140 pounds, talking about, no, this is how you need to do a barbell row. And it's like, you don't have a fucking pound of muscle on you. Like, you're not about to tell me how to train back.
mhm.
So I think that's been a big problem, like a cause for this divide in the industry. Um, but there should be a pretty healthy blend of both. Like I think we've even talked about it because as a coach, there's times you want to critique and get that extra 1% back from somebody, or out of somebody, but then it may come across like I feel like there's been times I've almost crippled people in the gym, and like scared them into or scared them out of high levels of effort because they're like, you see them thinking about it, like they're tucking
Yeah,
off to one side to do a fucking one arm cable row for lats, and it's like, you gotta have a little oomph in you. Like there's if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say if I could get like 90% accuracy on biomechanics with 100% effort, like full send to failure, that's going to be where that happy medium kind of meets.
yeah. I mean, more often than not, the videos I'm reviewing, it's not biomechanics that I'm necessarily correcting. It's
Effort.
letting people know, like, hey,
There's
good
3 left
set,
here.
but
Yeah.
there was 5 reps left. So
Yeah.
that tells me you didn't
That
pick a
was a
weight.
warm up.
You didn't
Yeah.
pick a weight
Yeah.
heavy enough.
Yeah.
And that's where there's got to be some instinct going on. Like if you get to rep 4 of your what you think is a work set, and I've done this, just auto regulate, rack it. That was just another warm up and go up and wait.
Yeah.
Um, you
That
don't
comes
want
with
to be
experience, but yeah.
blowing past these rep ranges with good form because like
Right.
if I
You
tell
didn't
you to do
challenge
something in
yourself.
the 8 to 10 rep range and you do 20, that tells me that you completely wasted that movement and you
Right.
just made dust in the gym for no reason. That's not a set that's going to give you growth.
Yeah.
Um, you know, have the intuition just to be like, oh, this isn't challenging enough. I'm going to
Yeah.
rack it and go heavier. So I find often I'm critiquing the effort more than, and you can see the panic in a video, and that's why I make people film. Is you can see like, and I just told somebody this the other day. I was like, great set. I have nothing to say about your form, but you panicked getting your 10th rep, and there was 2 more reps in the tank minimum. If I was there, I would have made you go for at least 2.
Yeah.
And then I remember Dusty saying the same thing to me 4 years ago, film or critiquing my videos. He's like, and that's where the gun to the head came from. Like, if I had a gun to your head and said, you have to get one more rep or you're dead, would you get it? And I'm like, absolutely. There's nobody on earth that wouldn't get another rep if they're about to get a bullet in their head.
Yep.
So it sounds extreme, and it's like that is the masochistic approach that's needed, especially for legs. But when we're talking putting more human on your frame, that's it. There's no way around it. Effort is going to be the king. And, taking in so much information can be a bad thing, because then you're just overloaded and you can't even like slow your brain down enough to even have a training session, because you're just thinking of like, well, shit, where's my elbow going? How are my feet positioned? Are my hips crooked? What's the ambient temperature in the gym? And it's like, hey, don't forget why we're here. We're here to fucking train.
Yes.
Dorian had pristine form and control and owned every inch of every rep. I guarantee he wasn't having to think about it too much. He was thinking about giving his maximum amount of effort he could. There was just no
fair. If I'm playing devil's advocate, I would say that's because he spent a lifetime mastering that, and training is a skill. So it comes with time. I think it's tough to say, but I think if you were to start someone from scratch right now, I think it might not be a bad idea to teach them biomechanics first and just get everything, create a standard with everything. And then try to teach them intensity. Now I say try because I think biomechanics and form and technique are much easier to teach, especially in a remote setting like my coaching is, than it is to teach intensity. Like I have people that have sent me the same leg press video for 14 weeks in a row. And for 14 weeks straight, I say, everything looks great. You had 3 left. And I just can't will that out of them. So, but reeling it back and getting back to legs, we kind of just spend, it feels like 15 minutes touching on different things. But what do you see other than just like a lack of pain tolerance or intensity? What are some mistakes that you see, especially because you're in like your gym's like a prime example of like what new and young people are doing in the gym. So what are some of the mistakes that you see commonly made in terms of leg training?
Well, the biggest one is that like little to no intensity or effort.
Yeah.
And then there's also the pendulum can go too far. Like where I used to train is like, I need to feel pain.
Sloppy.
That might not necessarily. Yeah. So I was training very stupidly in doing so at times. You get the people who aren't afraid of intensity per se, but they think intensity is like more weight or shittier form or whatever. Like they're
just move it from A to B.
Physical exertion's there. They're not scared of the weight. They're not scared of, they've conquered the fear of that. But then it's just like, all right, now you need to become more masterful of what you're actually doing. It's like internalizing that rage and controlling it and transferring it into the movement you're doing. And that was my biggest maturation. So I see that. I see both ends of the pendulum. And then I would say I see a lot of people just, I think it always comes back to like proper programming. And that, like you said, I think when you're new, it might be beneficial to learn on like machines and things where you're fixed, so you can focus on adapting yourself to these movement patterns, and then maybe moving forward into free weights. Maybe it just depends on the individual, but I will say, like, because I train people in person too, and it's the same thing as working remote. Like, you can only lead a person to that brink of failure that wants to go there. And you have to, like, I used to write in my logbook, coming up, Like I had a set and I would like write that was a transcending set because I tapped into a new level of like effort I gave
Mm.
where like I knew in that moment I would have racked it at a different point in my life, or I wouldn't have went for that last rep, or I
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's
have got
cool.
I would have got like scared almost of like
Yeah.
the pain I was feeling in my quads, um, or the burning sensation, like you're sweating, you're like, how am I going to do this? I just think that it can be inspired, but it cannot be taught. You have like that's like trying to coax someone to jump off a really high ledge into a body of water. You know, all your friends,
Right.
like
Right.
four
Right.
people are going to do it, and you got the one who's like, I
That's
can't do
me.
it.
I don't fuck with the water ever.
But you'll
That's not
fuck
my
yourself up on
territory,
leg
bro.
days.
That's not my territory, bro. I was I was I was put on Earth. I'm gonna stay on Earth. I'm not fucking around in the water. That's a different universe.
Yeah, but so you're a caveat because you'll still train legs to failure, but you won't jump
Yeah.
off a ledge.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that.
I'll jump, but I won't dive. Like I see people doing backflips and shit. I'm like, I don't have
Wild.
I don't have the body control to like land
No.
that.
You ever see those videos? Now we're just completely off the rails, but um Jared Feather posted some videos of him like doing backflips and shit, like off a fucking canyon into like some body of water. And I don't know if you've ever met him. He's one person that I can say undoubtedly um, is much more impressive in person than he is online. Like he kind
Mm-hmm.
of, and this is not a knock. Like if he happens to hear this or his friends hear this, whatever, he looks great online, but he almost it plays through almost like he's skinny a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, and then
athletic
you see
build.
him in person, dude, and he's big. Like there's no doubt about it. He's a big dude. Um, so seeing him do that shit is like I'm like, dude, I'm not I can't do any of this. I'm not jumping into water. I'm not getting on rollerblades like James Hollingshead. Um, I'm not doing any of that stuff. But as far as mistakes that we see, I would say all that stuff is true. And then I would, just like from a general perspective, I would say there's a lot of BS in the industry as far as like foot placement, and what that does. You brought it up earlier, where coming up, Tommy and I, a big um, myth that people would throw around is like, oh, like close stance for outer sweeps, and then wider stance for like your teardrops or what. Like there's no isolating these muscles. Like you either put your quad through a full range of like knee flexion or you don't. Um, and that's what it's going to come down to. Now, like structure, um, you know, just your own biomechanics in general, there might be limitations to how deep you can get. If you're a guy that's 6 feet tall, or even like one of my buddies, Gary Turner, is a perfect example of this. He's a guy, I think he's like 5'8" ish, 5'8", 5'9", but just very long femurs, and he would barbell squat for years and didn't grow any quads. So, um, I would just find movements that allows you to get into whatever your max knee flexion is, and then just bury it. Just fucking bring it until the wheels fall off. Um, and I think that will set people up, just as general advice, better than most things. Like, yeah, there's programming and different considerations and all that, but really find something that you can put your quads through a full range of motion under load and just bury it.
Leg day
Motion
is
under load
buried.
and just
Um,
bury it.
the misapplication of bands is one I see a lot too. Like,
Oh, that's a great one. Yeah.
and it's not. I don't even want to blame. Like, it's just because there's so much information. They're seeing shit, so it's like monkey see, monkey do, and
It's
you
the
know,
blind leading the blind, man. I've said it about
yeah.
this industry 100 times.
And it's like you take what might be a decent principle with like a reverse hack squat or a banded hack squat, for example, and now it's like instead of using a thin band that might take a plate per side off as far as tension, we use the thickest one, which I don't
I've
know if you
seen
even,
people double band a hack squat.
yeah,
It's like, what are we
just
doing,
to
dude?
put just to put 6 plates per side on. And that, like, my biggest gripe with bands is there's no weight I've ever done with a band that I couldn't do without. I guarantee you that. It's not creating a slingshot. It's not pulling me out of the hole. It's not helping me change directions. If your band is doing all of that, you've defeated the purpose of it.
I've defeated the purpose of it. I've definitely done that. I've undoubtedly done weights with a reverse band that I couldn't do on my own. And it's just ego.
Because
ego.
Dusty, like I started, the only time I did it was with Dusty.
Yeah.
So I learned, that was never going to be a thing. We used the same band every week, and
yeah,
it was a variable that was constant. We wrapped it the same and everything. So a good, like, if you're starting with tension fully on the band before you've even started from the top, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You don't know how to band, or you're just doing this for ego.
Yeah.
And that's not going to make you better. And then
same,
I'm starting to see people doing banded Smith squats. Same thing. Like
reverse or from the floor?
Reverse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No one does things to make them harder. Like, if you notice, it's always to, like, create a crutch. So I would just say the misapplication of bands.
Yeah, that's a great one. I would say too, another one is, like, and we touched on this, is just, there is no must do movement. And it seems like, like we kind of dispelled this when we did, the big three movements, I think, has that kind of stigma around it where it's like, you must do these. So it's like, we talked about chest training and back training, and we talked about, bench press and deadlift, talking about legs now. So we're going to talk about the barbell squat. I don't think you must do it. Obviously, we've talked about it. You have good legs without it. I have pretty good legs without it. But just don't let anyone tell you that you must do that. Like, if you get a plan back from a coach and they're like, yeah, like, your legs need to improve, you must barbell squat. Well, then, you hired that coach, and I think you got to give it a fair shot and see. But if you've been barbell squatting for years and your legs haven't grown, then something needs to change. Something isn't working for you, and you need to find what works for you individually. So I just think, as a general rule, making sure that, like I talked about earlier, just finding movements, regardless of foot placement or fucking free weight machine, plate loaded, and none of this shit matters. Get your quads loaded and throw a full range of motion. Bring it until you cannot move it anymore, and your legs will grow. I think another big thing too, while I have the floor, is a lot of people, I struggle with my clients with this. I'm begging clients on a weekly basis, like, for these people that have that panic and fear those final last couple reps, they're trying to go into it as a novice or intermediate lifter, and already struggling to go mentally to failure, and then they don't have a spotter. It's like, you need a spotter. You obviously need someone to assure you that you're not going to get hurt if you go to failure. So, I tell people all the time, if you're training by yourself, find the biggest person in the gym. Find the person that looks the most muscular and qualified that you can find. And I promise you might make that guy's day by asking him to spot you. Like, get a spotter that allows you to bring sets to where you need to bring them. And I think a lot of problems with people trying to build legs would be dispelled, I guess.
Yeah, scan the gym and just look for who's training.
Just find somebody that looks like Tommy. If there's somebody that's 250 pounds and they have a neck tattoo, that's the guy that you need spotting you on leg day. Simply put.
I think even if it's just like, look around and see who's actually training with intent.
Yes, if you've seen somebody that really fucking trains, even maybe they're not even all that big, but they really know what the fuck they're doing in the gym and they're really getting after it, that's a good person to grab too.
Yeah, and a lot of times just it's like a placebo effect of knowing someone's there and you won't even need them.
10,000%. I don't know if that's a thing. I probably could have just said 100%, but
no, we needed the emphasis because
10,000%.
that's true.
That's how.
Anytime I've ever asked for a spotter, except when I was like really young and dumb and naive, like they didn't need to do anything. They were just there as like a safeguard. It's like,
yeah, same thing. I always tell people same thing. It's funny you brought this up before, but I will just try to find somebody that looks like they know what they're doing, someone that is physically capable of like preventing this thing from burying me and like rupturing my patellas. Um, and I'll just tell them, look, hey man, your job is to just stand here and make sure I don't die under this thing. Like that's it. You don't need to touch it leading into it. I don't need you to guide me through it. I don't need a lift. I don't need a rack. I don't need it. I just need you to fucking scream at this thing and move it once it buries me, and that's it.
Yeah. I might give a little, like, depending on the more with a press. If it's a free weight press, I'll just be like, stay close.
Oh,
And
that's a whole different team. Yeah.
that's kind of like my warning, like, hey, I might need you,
Yeah, it
but
might need. Yeah.
don't get anxious and fucking touch it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
but with legs, and it makes sense, man. A lot of these movements, like you could get crushed by the weight that you're using. So,
yeah,
I understand that there's going to be some hesitancy and fear. There should be fear. You should feel scared, or anxious or nervous almost every time, like outside of like deloading or like, these little examples of like intentionally suboptimal training. You should be going in there like nervous about what you have to get through.
dude, I have legs on Sunday, and it's on my mind in a way. It's like,
I got them
man,
today, dude.
I got
I'm
leg.
like,
Yeah,
hell
so
yeah.
you're in ground zero, dude.
Yeah, I'm on ground zero. The
I'm
smoke's
looking ahead, like,
starting to
it's
clear.
not even anxiety to the point where it's crippling me, but it's also like, hey, dude, the decisions you make between now and Sunday are going to determine how leg day goes.
100%. That's such a great. I think that's a great way to end it. Honestly, I think we're right around an hour.
We're on
I
an
think
hour on
if
the dot.
I think if more people did that, just with all of their like connected the dots of all of the little pieces of this lifestyle, like I have made a fucking career out of talking about sleep at this point, it seems like, on Instagram. But it goes to that same point. It's like, okay, it's Thursday night and I'm doing legs Saturday morning. Like I better get some damn good sleep tonight, and I better be hydrated tomorrow. Like all of your whole week leads up to that. So if you're someone that's listening to this and you're really struggling to bring up your legs, or you maybe it's not a struggle, but like you just want exceptional legs, this is how you should start to think about things, where it's like every piece of your week leads up to, leading into that legs training session. And then the week following, everything should be around recovering from that leg session and setting you up to be better in the next one. So, if that means that you train Saturday, you train legs every Saturday because Sunday is a complete off day and you don't have to go to the office and you don't have to go to class and all this stuff, like really start to think about like facilitating your entire life to making, your goals a priority. And that's just such an awesome thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I think you had the same thought process I did coming up. Like, I looked at having a well-developed set of legs as like a badge of honor. Like, hey,
Oh yeah.
I earned some respect among the, who I wanted to be respected by, my peers, and like those better than me. Like, and that's what I tell clients, and that's what I'm telling anyone listening to this is like, building a set of legs, even if you have good genetics to do so, it takes some fucking grit. It doesn't just happen because you have good genetics, or like there's a lot of fucking soul crushing sets that have to take place.
Oh
There's
yeah.
the food, there's all like the pre anxiety that comes with it. So,
And then the
take pride in
recovery
that.
after, you need to
Take pride
wind
in that.
down. Yeah, you need to be able to wind down and like really like, because
I
you could
remember, let
go
me
ahead.
try to cut
Yeah,
you off,
yeah,
but I
yeah,
remember a
yeah. Go
different
ahead.
podcast with a big Ron Partlow was saying my legs were sore for 25 years.
Yeah.
Like,
It's true, man. It's so true. And then like just the recovery piece behind it as well. Like if you're somebody listening to this and you're going to take all this advice, you're going to train heavy in the 8 to 15 rep range. You're going to go through a full range of motion. You're training till fucking brutal failure. But then you sleep 3 hours a night. You miss your meals. You aren't hydrated. Um, these other things, it all plays into it. So it's like, yeah, a brutal 2 hours a week in the gym training legs is definitely like we've said on the show, like the match that lights everything. But you also, like, your recovery budget inevitably is going to be weighed more towards legs than anything else. So Uh, I think all really good things to consider. A lot of good takeaways. Um, in summary, high reps, heavyweight, full range of motion, and bury it. So for Tommy
Very
Stiles, I'm Joseph PIRCHER. That was a Thinking Man's podcast, and we are out.